Welcome to The Investor, a podcast where I, Joel Palafinkel, your host, dives deep into the minds of the world's most influential institutional investors. In each episode, we sit down with an investor to hear about their journeys and how global markets are driving capital allocation. So join us on this journey as we explore these insights. All right. So really excited to have my guest today, Balaji. I've gotten to know him for the last couple months now, and we've been doing some really cool collaborative stuff together. So Balaji, just welcome to the show. I'll just do a quick intro, and then I want you to kind of go a little deeper. But I was giving Balaji a little hard time because I saw a blog post somewhere saying that Balaji is the next Steve Jobs. So that for me, I don't really have any friends that have been given that reference. But from my understanding, he's built some really unique hardware technologies, which he's going to go deep on. And I've looked at some of the products and the websites that he's built. So super innovative. It looks like more on the consumer hardware tech, but some of them are much more large scale products that are out of the box. So we're going to talk about just how you can come up with, number one venture that's successful, but how do you build multiple businesses that are generating revenue, and how do you manage your time, making sure all those businesses are successful all at the same time as a portfolio? It's tough enough for many startup founders to just launch one business and focus on that. So that's where the concept of a venture studio model comes about, where you're essentially doing company creation. So I think that's a very innovative thing to think through. But that's my high level intro. Balaji, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joel.
Let's do some serious reflection, man. Let's go back, way back. Tell me about your family, your upbringing. What did you believe when you were kind of growing up, and what did you think you wanted to do? And tell me about this path and this journey that you went on, and then we can just take it from there and do this together.
Yeah, cool. Thanks for having me. I grew up in India. My dad was a mechanical engineer, so he was a professor. So he's a very organized, very well-known, reputed professor in India, and so he used to teach mechanical engineering, and then he also did a lot of organizational research, and there's a lot of in the mechanical side and mechatronic side as well. So I have two older sisters. They are all engineers. So as you know, the Indian families are engineers.
Either an engineer or a doctor. Yeah, I'm an engineer and I got a doctorate. So
there you go. Yeah.
So and then I got married. So I'm the golden child now.
Right. Yeah. You have no other option. It's engineer or medicine. So
yeah, and it doesn't stop them, man. You got to either be an engineer or a doctor, maybe a lawyer now, because we're in more modern times. And then you definitely have to probably get married at a certain time and have kids. So I'm like, I'm like, Dad, are you happy now? Like, I've done everything you wanted me to do.
Right. That is a standard path. Yeah. But I would be a terrible doctor. I cannot actually even stand needles or blood. So I went down the path of engineering. But then the reason I chose computer science was because that was the only left out department in my family. My dad was mechanical, my sisters were electrical and electronics, and then computer science was the only left out. So I thought I'll choose that. So I did my engineering in India, and then I moved to the US to work for Sun Microsystems. So that was my first company, and this was like during the .com boom when Sun was at its peak. And
so did you meet Vinod? This is Vinod left way beyond after.
Actually, Vinod was there when I joined Sun way early. But when I say way early, it was not like at the starting point, but when they were at its peak. But Vinod was not CEO by then. But I joined when it was all like 99s and 2000s when it was a .com boom, and but I joined here in the US, and then but by the time I left Sun, it was the stock price went down significantly lower.
Sure.
So I moved from Sun, but I was a Solaris engineer. I was building Solaris operating systems at Sun, and then after Sun I moved to HP, and HP I was building operating systems as well. So I was in the HP UX team, and then I joined Oracle, and Oracle, I was an engineer too. I was
Mhm.
transaction processing kernel development team. But after Oracle is when I started my first startup. It was called Snapstick, and that was acquired by TiVo after 2.5 years, and then I started another startup called DabCake, which was acquired in 2021 by a public company, and then I started all these other startups that I'm running now, and the venture studio. So, but the the surprising thing is, like, my engineering career at Sun, HP, and Oracle, they were all at the system side, on the back end
Mhm.
side. Um,
Yeah.
all my startups are consumer hardware software startups. So that it just happened because
Yeah.
I was building it for myself, and then it just became a company. So
Yeah. One thing that's really interesting is, Elon Musk, he shared multiple times that he just, he's a product person. So, when he's mentioned this a few times too. So when you become a CEO, you have all these chores, right? You got to do you got to do the audited financials. You got to make sure that there's a great company culture. Like there's a lot of these kind of chores that you got to do, and especially if you like building product,
Mhm.
it just you can't do it. So he was just like, look, I'd rather just be a product person. And he's
Yeah,
hired CEOs to run most of his companies, right? Twitter, I think he hired the woman from NBC Universal,
yeah,
who understands monetization, right?
yeah, yeah.
And he's just found people to kind of do those chores and kind of be the operating person to do the day-to-day running of the company. And then I think it's a great outcome if you own these portfolios of companies and you get some type of monthly P&L reporting in terms of how the companies are doing as like maybe like a chairperson. So there's a lot to unpack here. So tell me like how the culture was when you worked at these different tech companies in the Valley as an engineer. Because I know, like, probably in 2014, engineers were making crazy money. But I think back in that time, I don't think engineers were like earning that well. And I'm only saying this because, like, my uncle worked in the Valley, I think, way before the 2000s. And he was kind of one of the founding engineers of, like, the WiMAX technology. So, like,
Yeah,
wireless technology, like 5G.
yeah.
And
That was
then he ended up, yeah, and then his company, he ended up like moving to Bangalore, and that company got acquired by like
Mm,
Broadcom or something like that.
mhm.
So then, he essentially ended up becoming a Broadcom employee. And then, as you know, big companies, they have, probably a lot of different bureaucracies. But how was it there? Was the compensation, and obviously you don't have to tell me how much you're making, but just in general, like, were tech employees like the praised kind of like high paid people? I know for me, like I was working in tech in probably 2008, and like, the people that were getting paid the most were still people in finance. And I'm from New York. I'm in New York, right? So I mean, people on Wall Street, bankers, PE people, those were really the top people. And then after the recession, a lot of those people left. They got burned out from finance and they got into tech. And then now tech started to be those jobs that are paying like, half a million to like 800K if you're working at Google. But like, how was it back then? Was it like
Yeah,
a
the salary was not that bad when I
okay?
was at Oracle. So it also depends upon which team you work for. So I was at the kernel development team, which was pretty heavily compensated. But
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
here's a funny story, because when I was at HP, I was looking for a change, and then I applied. So I got into Microsoft, and I got into Oracle. I got an offer from Network Appliance. So Network Appliance was pretty close to my apartment that I used to live back then, and Network Appliance salary was the highest compared to Oracle and Microsoft. So Microsoft, I didn't want to actually move to Redmond, so I declined the offer. But then I had to choose between Oracle and Network Appliance, and then finally I
Mhm.
chose Oracle because of I used to drink a lot of soda back then, and Oracle said they'll give me free soda. There's like free soda.
So that
What
was the
it was I stopped drinking soda after that, but
yeah.
it was too much soda back then. But that was the reason I chose Oracle. But Oracle was one of the best teams I've actually ever worked with,
Oh
and
yeah.
that was a really really strong, very smart people. The core it's called server technology team, and
Hmm.
uh, people you meet there, they are like ridiculously smart people, and
Yeah.
that is one of the best teams in Oracle, and they are pretty good in terms of compensation. um,
Hmm.
But when it comes to startups, of course, when you do your own startup, you have to sacrifice all of those things. You're not going to be paid that much. So that was actually, as you know, coming from an Indian family, that was a big concern from the family side when you quit like a well-paying job, and then
they're like, "What happened, Balaji? What's going on, man? What happened?"
Well, I mean, everyone was upset because when I quit
they
Oracle,
thought you were throwing your life away. They're like, "Oh, you had this great opportunity. You came to
right.
America, the American dream." And
Right.
so did you meet Larry Ellison as well?
I've seen multiple times because Larry
Yeah.
used to do every quarter he'll be coming and giving a speech, and
Mhm.
I've never met him in person,
Yeah.
pretty on a personal side, but I've seen him giving like demos and talks and all this stuff. So yeah.
So, I'd love to hear any maybe life-changing or just groundbreaking leadership, lessons from Larry Ellison, or just, I mean, I guess, how are maybe talk about like your interactions with Vinod. What were some things that you learned from them as leaders? Because those are like, obviously tier one tech leaders.
Well, we know that I've talked only like a few times when I was at
Mm-hmm.
Sun Microsystems, but then
Yeah.
after that, I actually had an opportunity to meet with him a couple of times for the startups. I actually pitched one
Mm-hmm.
of the startups. I don't know if he remembers that, but we I mean the kind of feedback I would get from people when you pitch ideas, even before you have a product in place, and it's invaluable because now. I always love to basically get feedback from people who have done this before,
Mm-hmm.
but not in terms of directional, but in terms of inspirational, right? So you could just take it, and then you could decide what you want to do with that feedback. It's not like an advice, but they will share their opinion. But everyone has an opinion, and then you can actually apply your own opinions, and then you can form a decision. But
Yeah.
that was something that I heard when I was pitching the first version of my first startup to Vinod.
Mm-hmm.
The kind of feedback that I got from him was very helpful. And I've never interacted personally with Larry Ellison or any other top leaders.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, but even in the tech industry, there were a few people at Oracle. They were like highly technical and at the top level. When you talk about
Mm-hmm.
some technical ideas, the kind of feedback that you get from them, it is really invaluable.
Yeah. What's interesting too is I forgot who's the CEO of Salesforce. It's Mark Benioff, right? So I think he worked. One thing that I think is interesting about these successful entrepreneurs, they're not the Mark Wahlberg. I mean the Mark.
Yeah, yeah.
What's wrong? No, I mean, why am I having a brain issue today? But the founder of Meta, right? I mean, they're not the
Zuckerberg, yeah.
Harvard. Yeah, they're not the Harvard dropouts. We're seeing a lot of people that have worked in industry for a long time. So Mark Benioff I think he worked at Oracle or worked at like another cloud-based company, but they built some real serious industry experience. They really understand how to work with clients, how to follow processes, how to deal with hierarchy, because I think that's going to help you over time if you're trying to build a multi-generational, big, huge organization. Some of those disciplines I think help, the email etiquette versus just kind of being a scrappy founder, right? Eating ramen, right? Kind of like back from the 2007, 2006 era where like people were like, building startups as their first career. So I think you kind of fit in the same situation as Mark. And, I think Vinod just went in and started Sun, right? Or did he work somewhere else in
No,
industry?
no. Vinod was already like an achieved entrepreneur because he created a company called Daisy Systems, I guess, before.
Oh, that was his first company. Okay.
That was his first
Got
company,
it.
and then he sold that company, and then he started Sun along with
Started Sun.
I think a bunch of Stanford guys. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. So tell me, what was going on. So you told your parents that you're going to go off and start a company. They pushed back, and then what was the first thing that you did, and how did you come up with the idea? Tell me like the origin story, and what would remind me what was in the audience. What was the first business?
So the first company was called Snapstick. We were the first company to do mobile to TV. What you see today in different casting devices, we were the first company to do mobile to TV. But again, I did not actually start that as a company. I was still at Oracle, and when I was at Oracle, that was the first time I got Comcast connection, and then I was trying to watch some movies from the Comcast TV Guide. I don't know if you guys remember back in those days, Comcast TV Guide used to be like really bad, interface, and so I could not actually find, because you had to go through this matrix of the TV Guide, right, and then using the remote control, and I could not find anything that I wanted to watch, and I had a TiVo box with me. So what I started building was, this was the time MySpace was getting, was very popular, and then Twitter was also up and coming. So I started building a kind of a recommendation algorithm based on these kind of social networks. So I was extracting all like profiles and tweets and all this stuff, and then trying to understand, what sentiment. If someone says, "I watched Gladiator, I loved it," then what is the sentiment behind that? So you basically, I started creating this interest graph from all these people that are from the social network, and then you apply your own social network account into that one, and then combine that with the Comcast TV Guide. Then I was wondering if it can spit out, hey, here are the movies that you might like to watch that is going to be played at this time. And then I fed that into TiVo to record those movies. So it was more
okay, so you built the software first. I guess you were, what language was that written in?
It was all Python and C++. So it was all software. And but I actually ran everything in the Linux operating system. I built a custom Linux operating system on one of the mini PCs. And then I fed all these software through that, so that the mini operating system, the mini PC operating system, is what will be coordinating between TiVos and Comcast TV Guide and all that stuff. So it was more like a hack, fun project. That actually worked, because.
But then, how did you feed that into the Comcast box?
So I had to feed the Comcast out into my mini PC.
Oh, got it. Okay.
And then my mini PC will be feeding into the TiVo. So I had to do some hacks into that.
So straight up like electrical engineering. Kind of integrating in. Okay, got it.
That was the only hardware part I was doing, but it was more like a hack. Then
but it was still transmitting and receiving the data.
Yeah. I had to take the Comcast out, and then I had to convert that into IP protocol, right? Because it was a different protocol that will be coming in. So that was something that I wrote, and then again it will be feeding into TiVo, and it'll be communicating with TiVo. And TiVo was also a Linux box, so it was it was also more like a hack. How do you communicate the TiVo box?
So then you built that, and then you built that for your, I guess, as an experiment.
For myself, so because I want to record all the movies that I might like to watch.
So you got some sentiment, almost, because back then they didn't have, like, I don't think they had Rotten Tomatoes, right? So you gotta.
No, they had Rotten Tomatoes, but it will. So if I tell the recommendation algorithm saying that I like Gladiator, then can it actually start recording all the movies that I might like to watch? This is what TiVo was doing a little, right? Because, but based off of social networks, can you create a new type of recommendation algorithm that will actually bring this to you? So that worked. Then I started applying that to online videos. So then I actually go find great Vimeo videos or YouTube videos, and so that was also working. So this is the time when Apple opened their third-party developer platform for iPhones. So then I thought, okay, let me bring this recommendation algorithm onto the iPhone, so that
onto the App Store, right?
On the App Store, exactly.
So, but didn't you get any? I mean, you're still kind of bootstrapping this technology. There's probably wires sticking out, right? With like the TiVo. What are the devices? So it's the Comcast device, and then the TiVo device as well, right?
The Comcast device, TiVo device, and then my mini PC with operating system in the center.
Okay. So how do you sell that with, like, I guess those people not coming after you, right? Because you're kind of now you're integrating.
Yeah, this was just for me. So I was
just for you,
and then I gave it to my friends. They used it and they liked it.
And then they started using it.
So then I had to switch from that kind of a hacking mode to actual product. So this is when I met one of my really good friends now. His name is Craig Seidel from, this is the company called Movie Labs. So Movie Labs is more like an innovation / venture arm from movie studios. And he was the head of innovation back then. And then he wrote me the first check to actually convert this into a product. And then I had to remove the Comcast. I had to remove TiVo from the picture. So the whole the product that it became was, I will be able to find content on my mobile phone, and then I can tap on the content. It will be handing it over to the mini PC that the operating system that I wrote, and the mini PC will be directly plugged into the TV. So that will play the content. So that
Got
is
it. Okay.
That is
so that's what the stick is. The stick kind of plugs into the HDMI
right.
of the TV.
Right.
Got it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And you understand. I mean, a lot of them are Linux boxes, so you understand how to kind of do the wiring and the hardware, electrical design, which is very difficult to do.
Right.
So that definitely helped you to do that. And then I guess, how did you scale that to, like, I guess, product market fit?
Yeah. So even with that small check that I got from Movie Labs, it was still like $25K or whatever. I don't remember, but that helped me actually, make the actual hardware that I had to basically plug into the TV and then do all the communication. It was still just me, and then I met a couple of angel investors, and they invested, and then we took the product to CES. So CES 2011 is when we actually showed the fully functioning product, and we won the best of CES.
Oh wow! Okay.
So that is when I quit Oracle.
I gave you a lot of exposure to and gave you validation as well.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So so once we won the best of CES, then I had to quit Oracle, and then I had to do this full time. So and then so then we actually started working with.
So even when you told your parents that you're like, hey, you know what, I won this award, this has promise, I guess they still got probably worried as well, right? Just
because it's always a risky thing.
It's risky,
It's a risky thing, and zero salary. It's a lot of complications there.
But that's the culture. But the good thing is you were around that culture, right? I feel like if you lived in Oklahoma, or like if you lived in like Florida or something, like I did, it would be a different scenario. But I feel like the DNA, especially at that time, everyone was probably leaving at some point to build something, right?
Exactly. Yeah. The Bay Area culture, like you said, Bay Area culture is very tuned to this kind of people who want to build products, and risk is risk is everywhere. But my main thing is, even though I loved the team that I worked for, for Oracle, and the kind of technology that they were building, but they were still B2B, and I really enjoy the consumer products. So because I can actually use it. For me, if I become one happy customer, at least there'll be one happy customer, even if nobody.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, something that you use,
Right, exactly, yeah. So I am. I mean, since then I've always been a fan of consumer products. So I'm not a good B2B, business person, because I don't think I can actually sell to businesses. I would rather just try with consumers, and then because you can actually get a quick feedback whether they like it or not. So that was the main reason I left Oracle, because I really wanted to build this product for myself, and then it worked out good after that. So.
Yeah, I actually followed Vinod for a long time. And, I look up to him. I mean, he's someone that's definitely super inspirational. But one of his quotes that comes to mind is like, your willingness to fail is what will let you succeed. And a lot of times he was talking about Sun Microsystems and just saying, look, you know what, like there was a couple times when we didn't even know if we would make payroll.
Yeah.
So a lot of people think it's sexy to build a company. But, there's a lot of dark sides that you have to kind of go through, right? I mean, cash flow is flow is always a thing that you're balancing, right? Should you take outside money and scale, or should you bootstrap and go slowly and be profitable? Those are things. So what are some things that go back and forth in your mind? You took in some money, right? So once you take money in there, you have investors that you have to kind of, deliver milestones and communicate with, right? So what was kind of going on in your mind?
Yeah, that is a good point, because all my companies one of the actually key differentiating factors for the venture studio as well that I'm running now is even my first company, even before we got the 25K from the from Movie Labs, I was putting my own cash, my own money, and because I felt so much comfortable using my own money to play with some ideas and doing some experiments. As soon as you take someone else's money, then you are obligated to answer them, and because it's your fiduciary duty to actually tell them what's going on, whether the ideas worked or not, right? So then you have to spend time in actually answering people who actually gave you money. I would rather put my own money and then get to a point where you see the product working. Then for you to actually scale that point onwards, if you want to take someone else's money, then you'll be in a better position to actually answer them. So that was my my thesis behind every product, every company that I built. And my first company, I invested heavily. I was actually in the cap table. I was close to 30% of the investment I did for my first company, and my second company I did 50% of the investments in total. I did my own investment, and then currently I'm doing all bootstrapped. Everything I'm investing.
Yeah.
So except one company, but everything else is all bootstrapped. So yeah, you're right. As soon as you bring external investors, then you have to basically carve out some of your time to basically answer and or update them. I mean, nobody's going to harass you, but still, it is your duty to basically update them.
Yeah.
But then you're not going to be spending that much time to build the product, right? So when you're in the product building mode, then I would rather fully focus on building the product.
Yeah, I'm going to post a book recommendation here. There's a guy that I look up to. His name is Mark Ackler. I think he scaled. I think he deployed like 3 funds, but before that, he had a couple exits, and he co-authored this book called Exit Right. Really amazing book. I think the foreword was written by Brad Feld, but Mark Ackler is someone who I just like really look up to. He's like an OG, but like this book is really good because it talks about, and we'll get into this too, like things you need to think about, right? Like what is an earnout? Like, is it if you have an exit, because you had multiple exits, right? Like, what are the terms of the exit? Is it cash and stock? Is it cash only?
Yeah.
And like all of those things too. So, so obviously one great exit, what are some things that you learned from that, and just in general exiting, what's advice did you give to new founders that are maybe on that path?
Yeah, I mean, there is a famous saying in the valley that don't try to sell, you should be bought. So I think that is very very true. If you try to sell your company, then you're going to be getting nothing. But if you keep building the product, if you keep getting traction, then you will get a lot of inbound interest, and that's what happened even for my first company. The inbound interest were good, and always keep the doors open. Don't say no to anyone. Just evaluate it, and then if it's good, then take it. Otherwise, just keep moving forward, right? So, but the exit wise, I always believe the multiple matters. It's not about valuation, because I would strongly, I always prefer not to raise the valuation super high in the initial phase. Keep it low so that if you want to exit, it is going to be a lot easier when things are not going well, right? So if things are going really good, then you're awesome. But 99% of the time, the things will not go well in the startup in a company. So in my first startup, I think the multiple was pretty significant because we raised only 1.25, and so the multiple was pretty good both for investors and for the team and the founders. So if you operate lean and keep a very small team and don't raise too much capital, and keep the valuation low when you raise the capital, then you will be able to exit even at like $20 million or $30 million, right? So there's a lot of companies that can acquire you at that point than raising a first seed round at $20 million, pre-money. Then you have to exit at $100 million for you to see meaningful returns. $100 million exit is going to be really, really hard unless you create significant revenue or significant traction, and there are only few companies that will be willing to acquire at $100 million exit. So when things are not going well, if you can be falling in the sweet spot of $20 to $30 million or $20 to $40 million exit, that's the best. So which means you have to keep the valuation low initially.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And what should people think about when they have different options, like a stock sale versus like a cash sale versus a hybrid? And who have you looked to for advice? Kind of navigating. Obviously, you got your attorney, right? But you need mentors. Asking business advice from an attorney is definitely great, but then sometimes the attorney can only go so far when it comes to like actually making strategic business decisions, right? So did you kind of build like a little advisory board of mentors to kind of help you that, hopefully essentially have also gone through that same experience?
Yeah, I have a lot of, even now, I have a lot of advisors on the advisory board, but they're all my friends, good friends, because these are the people that I actually met through some connections. And one of my really good friends who was on the board of my previous company, and he's also one of the advisors now. His name is Ranjit. He's a serial entrepreneur, and he has sold multiple companies. So I actually met him for some kind of partnership that I wanted to actually do when he was running a different company, and then we became really good friends. And he was one of the advisors, because last company's exit, it had some issues, so he was actually helping me a lot through navigating through this. And then my attorney, of course, he's also a really good friend. I've been working with him for the past like 10 years now. So there's a lot of people that you can actually get advice or even like inputs. And then, like I said, at the end of the day, you have to put your own opinion and then see what you think is right, and then go for it. Because everyone will have different opinions. Everyone will be having like different kinds of thoughts as to what I should be doing, right? So someone might say, oh, this is a pretty low valuation. Don't take all stock. Don't take all cash. Or 4-year vesting versus 3-year vesting, right? So all these things, I think if you feel comfortable, then go for it.
Sure. And then tell me about the next venture, kind of the next business, and what motivated you to kind of start the next company? And I guess like, what did you do afterwards? I guess, did you still have to spend some time at that company? Because a lot of times too, like when there's an exit, you have to obviously, run and operate the company for some time. And then there's usually like a term where they'll hire a CEO. Right.
Yeah, So when my first company got acquired, I did not join that startup. So I left some money on the table because people who joined, they actually had some more cash coming in over a period of vesting period. But I did not join because I was going through some personal life situation, so I had to deal with that. So I started my next company after 1.5 years after the exit. First company.
So what did you do in that time? Did you just take some time off and?
Like I said, no, I was dealing with the personal life situation. Yeah, so I was going through that, but then I was also actually ideating for the next startup, and the next startup was more like an extension to my first startup. It's in the same space. It's in the TV entertainment space, but this was a little bit better than what I was doing before with all the lessons learned. This was also a streaming device that I was building.
So this is the TV that's like super thin.
No, that is now what I'm doing now.
That's a new one. Okay, got it. Yeah,
that's a new one. Yeah. So
the last Displace, right?
That's Displace. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, but my last company was called DabKick, where we built an AI-powered streaming device. It was called Dabby. So Dabby was a kind of a universal search engine that we created, and it will navigate through all the subscriptions that you have. So we wanted to actually create this kind of a one subscription manager. Because people have HBO subscriptions and then they watch Game of Thrones, and then you forget to basically cancel the subscription. So the platform that we created was, it will understand what you're watching. It'll know you're not using HBO, and then it'll automatically go cancel it for you. And then when you want to watch Game of Thrones again, it'll automatically re-enable for you. So it will do everything in the back end, and then you are not going to be switching between apps. You just say, I want to watch Top Gun Maverick. And then it will find the best source for you, and then it'll immediately instantly play on your TV. So that was the. How
does it play without you paying for it though?
So we were charging subscriptions. So,
okay, got it. Okay.
So you pay us a flat subscription fee, a monthly subscription fee for unlimited.
So you're like almost like a separate Paramount. pretty much.
Exactly, yeah.
That's crazy. Because a lot of those streaming services, it's the same price for a lot of those movies, right? I mean, we change them up all the time, but if you get Paramount, sometimes some of those movies are already on Amazon as well, right?
Right, exactly. So people they may not know that this movie is available on Tubi TV for free. But you may want to watch like a couple of a couple of ads. And people may be okay with that, right? So that was the whole search engine that we created, where it will navigate through different sources that you may not be even actually aware of, and then it will. But you don't have to know where it's coming from. All you care about is it 4K, is it high quality, and is it going to be playing for free, and with no ads, right? That is the ideal combo. So we will try to find that ideal combo for you, and then it will instantly play. And,
did you meet any of those people that would program those boxes? Because it's kind of like in your area. I knew a guy when I was in Florida. I don't think this was 100% legal, but he would take those boxes. They're like these little mini. I think it was actually the Apple TVs, and they would reprogram it, and essentially, you could pretty much watch anything. And I think they also added a new thing, which was games.
Yeah.
And I actually bought one from him, but the only thing is it wasn't really working all the time. Like if I would see like, oh, like I want to see Maverick or something. So I was like, man, this is not reliable. So I'm just gonna pay for Netflix. It's only
exactly.
At the time it was only $9 like a month, so it wasn't worth it. But he was doing pretty well. I mean, he would handle shipping and send it out to people. So I know there's some people, and what he was saying apparently that it was legit. I think because it's open source. But I don't know if you came across it. It sounds like something that's similar to your space.
There were a few jailbreaking companies. That's what they do. Basically, they get these streaming devices, and then they'll do the jailbreaking. But there were other companies where like Plex, for example. So Plex is actually a legal open source software that'll be like bringing all these content together. So Plex was one of the competitors that we were actually dealing with, but nobody was actually having a device that you can buy, and because ours was the device will be connecting to the TV through HDMI, and then we also believed that the second screen experience is very important, so we were shipping a touch screen along with that. So that is where you'll be browsing, not on the TV. So you'll be browsing on the touch screen, and then you tap on the content that you want to watch, and then it'll instantly play on the TV. So similar concept to my first startup, but this is more like an advanced search engine, and we applied a lot of subscription models into that, and so you don't have to deal with different apps and different content switching. So that was the whole idea. Plus, how do you bring the entire web? Because today, if you look at the TV, there are streaming apps, right? So, but what if you want to watch TikTok? What if you want to basically watch Wall Street Journal videos? The problem with those things is now Wall Street Journal has to create a TV app for their video content, and they don't have engineering resources for that. And the TV ecosystem is also so fragmented. Now you have Roku operating system, you have Samsung operating system, LG. So everyone has their own operating system, which means as a video provider, you have to create apps for all these platforms. It's going to be incredibly harder to manage. So, but if you look at the web, there is only a thing called website, and people create just for website, and Wall Street Journal, WSJ.com. If you go, and then you can watch all the videos, and that website can play in any browser. So that is the whole model that we used for Dabby, where it will be browser-based operating system, and so that we can play any content that is available on the web. But you will see it is more like an app. So you as a consumer, you will not see any URL bar or nothing. So that was a big difference that we made in Dabby. And again, we launched Dabby 2020, just before COVID, and we won the best of CES again for Dabby. And then we started shipping during COVID time. That was a hard time because everything was shut down. We were not able to manufacture, and so we had to take PPP loans and all these things. And then we started shipping, and we turned the company around, and then we got acquired in 2021 by a public company.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then, so then after that, you realize maybe you can kind of grow a business of just kind of building these consumer. And then do you now have like pods of teams, maybe a mini CEO that kind of runs? And because for all this, you got product development, you got marketing. You got distribution, supply chain. So there's probably you probably had to kind of build teams.
Yeah.
And you got how many now? You got 6 under your belt that you're managing? 7 that you're active.
7 companies, yeah. So that is the main reason I actually started the venture studio, because all these companies, the 7 companies, the commonality between these 7 companies is AI for consumers. So that is so I strongly believe that there will be no AI product, but AI will be living in other consumer products. So, and because consumers don't care whether it is AI or not, are they getting value from the product?
And I think it's a very well-known user experience now. Like a lot of times when I do stuff now, when I search, I'm looking for a prompt. I was doing this thing with my son. I think I told you this a while back, but we printed these T-shirts. And you can, I was expecting a prompt. I was like, oh, that'd be cool if I could just use AI to generate it. So I think it's going to be just the prompt is just going to be as common as the next search bar. So whenever you want to do something, just be like, hey, pull up the top, searches of military movies from 1980, and it'll kind of give you a lot more context as a prompt versus search, right? So I think it'll just be a native user experience everywhere. And then look, you've made hit after hit. These companies are doing well. Tell me a next level product that you've been thinking about. I got one, and maybe you're going to tear it apart, but I just think it's still a pain. When I'm taking photos of my family, I still got to go like this and take a photo, and hopefully they don't. I imagine if there was a piercing that I had, and it was a camera, and it was a gimbal where even if I'm turning it any side, it would still be focused. Because in that way, I get the true feeling of my memory that I had, because usually all the memories that we have is coming from our eyesight, right? So I feel you can capture that same memory if there's a camera or something here, and obviously you can turn it off, but especially if there's I've seen some of these crazy videos on YouTube where people get abused by cops. Cops are kind of wrongly using their authority and abusing their authority on people. And, people are trying to pull out their camera, and then the cops are like, hey, you know what? They just snap the camera, the phone out of their hand. But if they know they're in real time, you tap your ear and they're real time recorded for their behavior, they may actually, behave,
Yeah.
So I think that accountability, but I don't know what your thoughts are on that, around privacy, and even if you think it's a good product or business.
No, I mean, wearables is definitely something that it's been going on for the past even a decade, right? So if you remember the Google Glass, that was the first kind of a AR what they talk about, and then I actually bought recently the Meta Ray-Ban glasses.
How are those?
It's pretty good. I mean, I wear prescription glasses, so I don't wear sunglasses. But I just want to see how well it is. But it's very well made. I would say that I was even surprised to see how well it works. So that you can actually use to take videos, and you can take pictures, and it also has this Meta AI, so you can actually ask a question. You can say that, what am I looking at, and then it will say, I'm looking at some orange or whatever.
So it has a speaker that tells you, kind of talks to you.
Yeah, it has a speaker, but the problem is the battery life, and you have to charge. So I keep it in the car, but I don't charge that all the time. So and they have done a really good job in thermals, because all these variables, the problem is the battery life, and then the heat.
The heat,
So, but I would say that the Meta AR glasses, by far, I'm not a big fan of wearables, except the Apple Watch that I wear, and even that I would consider my phone to be much better than my Apple Watch. But I'm not a swimmer. I'm not a kind of like a workout health. But Apple Watch I kind of like. But any wearable, where you're piercing or you put on the face, that I still call that as a kind of an on-demand computing, right? You have to put it on your face. But your idea of always having a piercing on your ear, that could be more like an ambient computing. Sure, I mean, if you can figure out how to get that battery life and how to remove the heat, then it could be something interesting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, hey man, this hour flew by. Really just appreciated learning from you, and enjoyed your story, and congrats on all the success, and And, I just think it's a unique model. I've been talking to a lot of venture studios, as you know,
Yeah.
and, I think some of the other benefits too is ownership, right? You own more of the company. And, essentially if you've bootstrapped everything, then you can really have the true direction of where you want to take it. And,
Yeah,
and,
the biggest difference in the venture studio Keeja Lab that I'm running now is before, because the traditional venture studios will be ideating within the venture studio, so they'll be charging the LPs as management fee, and then use those management fee to form a team to come up with ideas. But at Keeja Lab, I put my own personal capital to do the ideation phase. So I'll take from ideation to seed stage, and then once it basically gains traction in the market, then we bring those companies as portfolio under Keeja Lab. So which means we are de-risking the whole investments from LPs. But the ownership of Keeja Lab in all these companies is still significant, like venture studio. So the return of investment on these companies from venture studio point of view, it is still the same. That is the big difference, and I think it's very unique compared to any other venture studio.
Yeah, no, well, that's exciting, man. Really appreciate you sharing that. And I think, like I said, super happy to hear all these amazing accomplishments.
Right.
And, happy to have you as a friend. And, hopefully I see you soon in New York or in San Francisco at some point.
Yeah. Thanks, Joel. Thanks.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Appreciate it.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.